There comes a moment in life when something inside you just breaks, not in a loud, dramatic way, but silently, like glass cracking beneath the surface. A moment when you realize you've spent your entire life trying to prove something to people who were never even watching. You've given your love to those who only needed your presence. You've explained yourself to those who had already made up their minds. You've fought battles inside your head that no one even knew existed. And one day, you just stop, not because you stopped caring, but because you finally understand something deeper. Something Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." Most people never wake up from the illusion. They spend their lives reacting to emotions, to opinions, to the world's chaos, like puppets pulled by invisible strings. And they call that living. But there's another kind of human being, quiet, composed, untouchable. You can't manipulate them with praise or break them with rejection. They no longer seek to be understood. They seek to understand. They've seen the truth. That peace isn't found in controlling the world around you, but in mastering the world within you. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." And when you truly understand this, you stop fighting life and start flowing with it. That's the last lesson you'll ever need. Not to win arguments, not to gain followers, not to be admired, but to be free. Imagine waking up tomorrow and realizing no one's opinion of you matters. That no rejection can wound you, no praise can enslave you, no chaos can shake you, because you've already built peace inside. That is the beginning of being untouchable. But to reach that state, you must descend into the darkness first. You must meet your shadows, your fears, the versions of you that you've buried for years. And that's where Jung's truth collides with Stoicism. The battle between knowing yourself and mastering yourself. This is not a motivational talk. This is an awakening. Because once you see it, you can't unsee it. Have you ever wondered why life keeps teaching you the same lesson, just in different forms, different faces, different situations? You meet someone new, and it feels different this time. But somehow, it ends the same way. The same disappointment, the same silence, the same ache. And you think, why does this always happen to me? But what if it's not happening to you? It's happening for you. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." And that's the truth most people never face. We keep repeating pain because we never stop to understand why we chase it. Every time we feel lonely, we look for someone to fill the void. Every time we feel unworthy, we try to prove our worth to the world. Every time we feel powerless, we try to control everything around us. But all we're doing is running from the mirror inside our mind, because facing that mirror is terrifying. It's easier to blame the world than to admit we are the architects of our own suffering. Jung believed that each of us carries a shadow, a side we pretend doesn't exist. Our jealousy, our rage, our fear, our need for validation. Everything we deny gets buried deep. But buried things don't disappear. They rot. They leak into our choices, our relationships, our patterns. They whisper through the people we attract and the pain we keep reliving. Every time you chase someone who doesn't value you, every time you argue to be understood, every time you feel small because someone else shines, that's your shadow speaking. That's your mind begging to be seen. But we don't listen. We distract ourselves. We scroll. We chase goals. We buy things. We call it healing. But really, it's escaping. And here's the hardest truth of all. You can't become untouchable if you're still running from yourself. The Stoics knew this too. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it." Your estimate, your interpretation, your inner story. That's what keeps you trapped. Not people, not fate, but the stories you keep repeating to protect yourself from pain. The same stories that cause the pain. So the core problem isn't the world. It's our reaction to it. We've built our entire identity around being seen, validated, accepted. And that's exactly why we're fragile. But once you realize this, Once you stop identifying with your wounds, a strange kind of strength begins to grow. You stop chasing closure. You stop explaining yourself. You stop begging life to be fair, because you finally understand. The only person you were ever trying to convince was you. There's a moment, after all the noise fades, after the heartbreak, the disappointment, the endless proving, when silence begins to speak. And in that silence, you hear something ancient, something that's been waiting for you all along. The Stoics called it reason, the quiet order within the chaos. A voice that doesn't scream, it observes. It doesn't react, it understands. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." At first, it sounds simple, almost too simple. But when you've spent your entire life trying to control things beyond your reach, those words hit differently. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you respond to it that matters." That's the awakening. That's where the shift happens. Because the moment you stop trying to control life, you start mastering it. You begin to see that life isn't unfair, it's indifferent. The world doesn't owe you comfort, and people don't owe you understanding. You owe yourself clarity. You owe yourself peace. And peace comes from discipline. The Stoics didn't chase happiness. They practiced equanimity, a steady mind, unmoved by praise or insult, by gain or loss, because they understood. To be emotionally untouchable, you must no longer be emotionally owned. That's what makes Stoicism so powerful even now. It isn't about suppressing emotion. It's about governing it. It's about meeting chaos with calm, meeting insult with silence, meeting fear with understanding. Carl Jung and the Stoics, though separated by centuries, spoke of the same truth, that the enemy isn't outside. It's within. Your reactions, your attachments, your interpretations. Those are the chains, and only you can break them. When you realize this, a strange freedom begins to rise inside you. You stop reacting to every storm. You stop explaining yourself to every critic. You stop chasing validation from people still lost in their own noise. You start observing. You start accepting. And from that acceptance comes power. Seneca once wrote, "He who is brave is free." And bravery isn't about fighting the world. It's about facing yourself. It's about looking at your flaws, your fears, your failures, without judgment, just awareness. There's a strange thing about the human mind. It can see everything, except itself. We can point out every flaw in others. We can predict their patterns, their mistakes, their blindness. But when it comes to our own, we look away. We distract ourselves. We tell beautiful lies to protect our fragile truths. Carl Jung called this the shadow. The parts of yourself you've rejected, denied, hidden. Your envy, your pride, your desire for control, your need to be liked. All buried deep within the unconscious. But here's the paradox. The more you try to hide your shadow, the more power it has over you. The more you suppress what you fear to face, the more it shapes your destiny. Jung said, "What you resist persists." And that's not just philosophy, it's psychology. Because resistance keeps energy trapped, and trapped energy always returns, in the form of anxiety, anger, depression, or desire. The Stoics saw the same truth from another angle. They said the root of suffering is not the event itself, but our judgment of it, our interpretation, our attachment to how things should be. You see, every time someone disrespects you, and you explode with anger, you're not reacting to their words. You're reacting to the part of yourself that still needs approval. Every time you feel rejected, and you spiral into self-doubt, you're not mourning the loss of someone. You're mourning the image of yourself you built through their eyes. The mirror doesn't lie, but it also doesn't flatter. And if you look closely enough, you'll see the enemy you've been fighting all along was never out there. It was the voice in your own head that kept saying you're not enough, unless someone else says you are. That's the trap, the psychological prison. You keep waiting for the world to change, so you can finally feel okay. But the Stoics, they reversed the equation. They said, change yourself, and the world loses its power over you. Marcus Aurelius wrote, If someone can provoke you, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation. That's hard to hear, but it's also liberating, because it means you were never really powerless. You just forgot where your power was hidden. So look into the mirror, not the one that shows your face, but the one that reveals your reactions. Watch how quickly you get offended, how fast you need validation, how easily you're pulled by attention or praise. That's not weakness. That's awareness trying to wake you up. When you can observe your emotions without drowning in them, when you can feel anger without becoming it, when you can be rejected and still remain whole, that's when you begin to understand what true strength really is. Because strength isn't about being unbreakable. It's about being aware and not letting the storm inside you decide who you are. There comes a day when you no longer want to run anymore, not because the pain is gone, but because you're finally tired of escaping it. You sit in silence, and for the first time, you stop asking, "Why me?" and start whispering, "What is this trying to show me?" That's the moment it begins. The turning point. Carl Jung once said, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." And that's exactly what happens here. You stop pretending you're okay. You stop hiding behind, "I don't care." You stop chasing distractions to numb the truth. You turn inward and face the storm you've been avoiding. At first, it feels unbearable. Every emotion you buried starts surfacing. Fear, anger, regret, loneliness. It's heavy. It's chaotic. It's raw. But then, something subtle changes. You begin to watch the emotions. Instead of becoming them, you feel sadness rise. And you don't fight it. You feel anger burn. And you simply observe. And in that stillness, you realize something profound. You are not your emotions. You are the awareness behind them. That realization is the beginning of freedom. Because once you stop identifying with every thought and feeling, life loses its power to control you. You stop reacting to everything and start responding with intention. This is where Stoicism meets Jung's psychology, where understanding meets transformation. The Stoics never said, "Feel nothing." They said, "Be ruled by nothing." That's what it means to be untouchable. Choose not to be harmed, and you won't be. Don't feel harmed, and you haven't been. At first, it sounds like denial, but it's not. It's mastery. It's the realization that every event, every rejection, every wound is neutral until your mind gives it meaning. And in that moment, you begin to see the gift hidden inside the pain. That heartbreak that broke you, it was never there to destroy you. It was there to show you where you depended on someone else for your peace. That failure that humiliated you, it was never punishment. It was preparation, teaching you humility, patience, and resilience. That loneliness you hated so much, it wasn't emptiness. It was space, where you finally heard your own voice. Without the world's noise, you start realizing that life never wanted to hurt you. It wanted to wake you. And suddenly, everything that once felt unbearable starts making sense. Every loss shaped you. Every betrayal taught you. Every silence guided you back home, to yourself. So now you've seen it. How your mind creates your suffering. How your shadow shapes your patterns. And how awareness cracks open the illusion. But awareness alone isn't enough. You need discipline. You need tools. Not to escape the mind, but to master it. You can't always control what you feel, but you can always control how you respond. That's the skill. That's the lesson. That's what makes you untouchable. First, the pause. Master the gap between trigger and response. Most people react instantly. An insult, a rejection, a loss. The emotion hits, and they explode or collapse. But the Stoic pauses. That pause, just a few seconds, is where all your power lies. In that space, you can observe instead of react. You can feel emotion without becoming its slave. And slowly, your reactions start losing control over you. So next time something provokes you, don't respond. Just watch. Ask yourself, is this under my control? If not, let it go. Second, the view from above. When life feels overwhelming, lift your mind above it. Imagine rising above your life, like you're watching from the clouds. You see your city, your problems, your worries. becoming smaller and smaller, until they're just specks in the vastness of time. We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. From up there, you realize how temporary everything is. Nothing truly lasts. And that's not sad. It's freeing. Third, the journal. Every night, Marcus Aurelius wrote to himself, "What did I do well today? Where did I fail? What can I improve tomorrow?" Writing turns the fog of your emotions into something you can see. And once you see it, you can change it. Fourth, Memento Mori. Remember, you will die. When you truly accept that your time is limited, you stop wasting it. You stop chasing approval, arguing for validation, or drowning in regret. You start living intentionally. Every moment becomes sacred. Fifth, Amor Fati. Not just acceptance, but love. Love your fate. Wish for things to happen as they do. When you live like this, nothing can destroy you. Even pain becomes fuel. Even loss becomes wisdom. These are not just quotes or ideas. They're tools for peace. Weapons against chaos. If you use them daily, pause before reacting. Rise above when overwhelmed. Journal your mind. Remember death. And love your fate. You'll start to notice something quietly powerful. Life won't feel lighter. You will become stronger. The hardest part of change isn't the moment you decide to change. It's the days after. It's easy to feel enlightened in silence, when everything's calm. But the moment you return to the world, the same people, the same situations, the same chaos, you realize the real battle has just begun. There is no coming to consciousness without pain. The pain isn't physical. It's psychological. It's the pain of watching yourself fall back into the very patterns you thought you'd escaped. The mind wants to survive, and survival means returning to what feels familiar, even if that familiarity is pain. So when you start growing, the mind gets scared. It whispers, "Go back. Stay safe. Don't look too deep." And if you listen, you fall asleep again. But this is where Stoicism becomes your armor. If it is endurable, then endure it. Stop complaining. It sounds harsh, but it's not punishment. It's training. Peace is not given. It's forged. Forged in discomfort. Forged in self-control. Forged in the moments you want to react. But don't. Every time you pause instead of argue, you win. Every time you choose discipline over distraction, you win. Every time you face your emotions instead of escaping them, you win again. These small victories build an empire within you. You will fall again. You will lose control. You will get angry. You will get hurt. But now, you'll see it happening. You'll be conscious of the fall. And that awareness, that's what changes everything. Because awareness means you no longer suffer blindly. You no longer repeat pain without understanding it. You see it. You learn from it. You rise a little higher each time. The world will keep testing you. It will try to drag you back into noise, fear, comparison. But now, you know something most people don't. That peace doesn't depend on what happens around you. It depends on what you choose to allow inside you. It's one thing to feel peaceful when you're alone, but it's another to stay calm when the world starts screaming again. We scroll endlessly, compare constantly, react instantly, and call it living. We check our phones before we check in with ourselves. We chase opinions instead of truth. We measure our worth in likes, followers, validation, as if peace was something you could earn. People will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own soul. We hide behind constant stimulation because silence is uncomfortable. Stillness is confronting. It forces us to feel everything we've been avoiding. You can't find peace by silencing the world. You find peace by mastering how you hear it. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire and still found time to reflect, write, and practice detachment. He didn't escape the chaos. He found order within it. So how does this apply to you today? It starts with small moments. When someone disrespects you, you don't need to react. You pause, breathe, and ask, is this under my control? When social media makes you feel less than others, you remind yourself you're seeing their highlights, not their truth. When life doesn't go your way, you whisper, Amor Fati, love your fate, not because it's easy, but because it's yours. Slowly, you start living differently. You no longer rush to respond. You no longer chase every argument. You no longer waste energy proving who you are. You begin to move slower, breathe deeper, think clearer. You start noticing the little things, the morning sunlight, the silence between sounds, the calmness in your own heartbeat. And for the first time, you feel present. Peace was never something to find. It was something you were meant to build, brick by brick, choice by choice, moment by moment. No tree, it is said, can grow to heaven unless its roots reach down to hell. Every heartbreak that tore you apart was showing you where you'd attached your worth. Every disappointment that broke your trust was teaching you to rely on your own strength. Every failure that crushed your pride was humbling your ego, bringing you closer to truth. You are untouchable, not because nothing can hurt you, but because nothing can own you anymore. You've seen your shadow. You've faced your storms. You've realized that control is an illusion and peace is a decision. The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Those thoughts are now within your command. The world will still be loud. People will still disappoint you. Pain will still visit. But now, you'll see it differently. You'll whisper, "What is this teaching me?" You'll stop chasing happiness and start cultivating contentment. That's what it means to build peace. Not to escape life, but to anchor yourself so deeply that no storm can pull you away again. Peace was never missing. You were just too busy chasing what disturbed it. Now you understand. Peace is not out there. It's not a person. It's not a destination. It's what remains when you stop letting the world control your inner weather. And when you finally build that peace, you become untouchable, not because life stops testing you, but because you no longer need life to go your way to stay at peace. You simply are. Steady, aware, free. The last lesson you'll ever need is not about power, or success, or perfection. It's about stillness, awareness, acceptance. It's about realizing that your peace was never stolen, only forgotten. And once you remember that, once you build it within yourself, you'll finally see nothing and no one can touch you anymore. And now, you understand. The battles weren't punishments. The pain wasn't unfair. Every challenge was shaping you. Quietly, perfectly, precisely. You've walked through the shadow, met your storms, faced your mind, and found yourself. This is where the search ends, and real life begins. Being untouchable doesn't mean you feel nothing. It means you feel everything, without losing yourself to any of it. The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. Maybe this is who you've been trying to remember all along. You don't need to fight the world anymore. You don't need to chase love, or prove your worth, or control outcomes. You just need to be, to breathe, to observe, to live quietly aware. You were never broken. You were just buried under layers of noise, fear, and expectation. But now, you are awake. So here's your challenge. For one day, just one. Refuse to react. Don't argue. Don't explain. Don't defend. Observe everything. Feel everything. But stay centered, no matter what happens. And watch how different the world begins to feel when your peace no longer depends on it. This is your practice, your path, your lesson, not to conquer the world, but to remain unshaken within it. If this message found you when you needed it most, carry it with you, live it. And when the world tries to pull you back into chaos, come back here, to this moment, to this peace, because that's what Behind Mind's Secret exists for, to remind you of what the world makes you forget, the strength within you, the stillness beneath the noise, the wisdom that was always yours. So if this spoke to you, stay with us, join Behind Mind's Secret, and together, we'll keep exploring the truths that make you stronger, calmer, and completely untouchable.